Mr. Joshua Booth, what's up, man?
How's it going, bud?
Good, man. I hear you're a popular guy jumping from podcast to podcast.
Yeah, you know me. Big celebrity. Everybody wants to see this beautiful face.
Yeah.
Nah, that's not true at all. But yeah, glad to be here, ready to get talking about Stockton Lake. You know, we just came from Stockton. We've got some other stuff coming up. So yeah, let's do it.
Yeah, man, it's pretty cool. I got to sit down with Chad and Morgan, two anglers that have joined on MoYak in the recent, time.
Two rookies.
Yeah, and they're really, duking it out for that Rookie of the Year and even Angler of the Year. And it was cool to get to talk to them and talk to them about Stockton.
I bet that Chad had some good wisdom to share.
Yeah, he definitely did. So did Morgan. It was good hearing from Morgan as a young kid, not kid, but a young adult, still in high school, fishing from a kayak. And it's really cool to see, how the sport is, from his age all the way up to, someone like you, Josh, has been doing it for so long. And there's no limits to fishing out of the kayak.
Nope, sure isn't. Morgan's had a great year too.
Yep, they're doing great. Well, let's look at the top five real quick. That 5 spot, Chris Robbs, 77 3/4 inches. Biggest was 17.5. Solid limit for the day. Dorman Huey, he's in that AOY race. Remind me, we'll talk about that AOY chunk of change that one of those guys will get.
He's leading the race.
He is. 17 3/4, biggest fish. Justin Kuhn, great competitor. 20.5, and he took big bass too, right?
Yeah, Justin's hard to beat on Stockton. Yeah, he's tough.
Biggest fish is 20.5, 81.25 on his limit.
Yeah, he took home some money.
So we heard from Chad about the dramatic finish and how he was kind of shocked and whatnot, finishing that 2 spot behind Morgan. It goes to show, take your time with your photos. Make sure you're sending the right ones. I know.
And keep track of your scores too. I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. He sometimes you get that double submission on Tourney X, and this is a good time to bring that up too, because this is probably one of the biggest questions I get asked more than anything. Is someone will ask me, I accidentally submitted the same fish twice because I didn't have very good cell service and it went through twice. What do I do? Or they accidentally put in the wrong measurement and then they submit it and they're like, oh, what do I do? How can I fix that? You have the ability to fix that. I mean, I can help you and fix that for you too, but you can do that too. If you go to the website, I know I preach this all the time, get off the app and go to the website, because the website's much easier to navigate. Get on your browser, go to tourneyx.com, go to your dashboard. Once you're on your dashboard, go to this section called Manage Catch.
Okay, I made a mistake on that. If you go to the TourneyX dashboard on the browser, it's going to say Remove a Fish. The Manage Catch section is on the TourneyX Pro app. So on the app, you'll use the function Manage Catch. On the browser, you will use the option to remove a fish on your dashboard.
So if you mess up, it's no big deal. You can go right in there and fix it. If you don't really catch it, I mean, sometimes we don't have good signal on the water, as in a case of a double submission. The judge is going to see it. It's pretty obvious on Tourney X. They flag them and notice them. And so it'll just get, one of the fish will get removed and your other fish will count. You're not in any trouble. There's no penalty for it. It's just a glitch kind of thing. So you have the ability to adjust your fish in your manage catch section. And, sometimes it just happens. It's part of the sport. It's no big deal, really. But, yeah, if you're not keeping track of your score and you're like, oh, man, like Chad, he kind of thought that he had the win, because he had that other extra fish in there. So keep track of your score, pay attention to your photos. But, yeah, that was a tough one. And even the tie was close, too. Him and Morgan were tied. So it just came down to that 18.5 inch fish that Morgan caught as a tiebreaker.
Yeah, it's really cool to see how that played out, and congrats to Morgan and Chad again, especially Morgan being a young angler, and Chad, I mean, he's had a great year so far. Morgan as well. It'll be really cool to see as we go to Pomme de Terre how everything shakes up.
Yeah, the the individual online is getting really close, and we've already done our first drop. And so Pommy, we have one tournament left at Pomme de Terre, and then you're going to have a second drop, and you're going to see that board change a little bit. But after saying that, looking at the points, Dorman and Chad have quite the lead over everybody. There's a big gap between Dorman and Chad, and then Lance and Morgan are down there. If you're looking at the individual AOY race, Chad and Dorman are pulling away. So it's going to be interesting to see what kind of changes are made after we have a drop, our final drop.
Yeah, so Chad is sitting in second right now. Morgan, which he'll be on here in a second, he's down in fourth. You got Ty Ward in fifth. Lance Burst sitting in that 3 spot, and then Dorman Huey. But yeah, it's definitely
that's stacked. Just you mentioning that, looking at those top 5, Ty, Lance, and Dorman are all past Angler of the Years. So 3 of those 5 are Angler of the Years, and the other 2 are rookies. That's kind of cool stat. Yeah.
That's cool. And I mean, even if you look a little further down, you got Sam Young right there, which he's had a great year. Larry Lee, he's come on strong. I believe if I remember right, he won Bull Shoals or did really good at Bull Shoals. Richie McMichael, he's up there. Troy Inky, got just Mike Dent, some sticks up there. It's really cool to see.
Yep, it's all going to go down in a couple more weeks. We're going to crown 2021 Angler of the Year. Will Dorman get it for a 3rd time? I don't know, man. We'll see.
We talked before we get on here. What can that Angler of the Year look forward to?
Oh, yeah, man, that trophy is probably a little too much. You're going to need like a whole table just to put it on by itself. May have been a little too big on that, but yeah, you're going to take home that trophy. You're also going to take home a check for $1,000. You're going to be qualified for the All-American. You're qualified for the KBF National Championship. I mean, that's a pretty good payday to win the AOY.
Oh, definitely.
If Dorman wins that, he may not even have to go back to work in the wintertime. He could just stay on permanent vacation.
Oh man, that's the truth. Yeah, well, we'll see how it shakes up at Palmy. Speaking of Palmy, September 11th, just a couple weeks away. Hopefully, man, I'm really hoping it cools down over the next couple weeks and that fall bite really turns on.
Man, I hope so too. I mean, looking at the forecast, it looks like the next 7 to 10 days we're locked in just the same weather every day, hot and sunny.
Yeah. This weekend coming up, we got the River Series. That's actually our stop 2. It's the makeup from earlier in the year. All that is west of 65, I believe. Is that correct?
Yep, that's right. It's our Western Regional Makeup Tournament. And, talking about it being so hot, not a bad weekend to get on the water, cool off.
Yeah.
Most of these creeks are cool and they're shaded. So it's a good part about being on the river.
Absolutely. Couple guys already signed up for that. Jim Harding sitting in that AOY spot for number 1 in that River Series. John Denton, Jacob Pruitt round at the top 3. So
that's pretty close. Pretty close race all around. Actually, the top 5 are all really close. And the winner's going to take home that new Sea Stream Angler 120 from Feel Free Kayaks. So there's something to be chasing there too.
Oh, absolutely. Anytime you give away a free kayak. Speaking of free kayaks, are we giving one away at Palmy?
Gonna have to show up and see.
I tried, guys. I tried to get it out of the bag.
No comment.
No comment. Well, Josh, let's put on a Morgan and Chad and talk to them. I know you weren't there, but you can definitely go back and watch it.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
And see how Stockton played out for them. What else? I mean, before we get into that, is there anything else think you got coming up, or anything else, announcement-wise?
Yeah, I'll just briefly bring up the Missouri Kayak Bass Nation qualifier event that's coming up October 2nd and 3rd on Truman Lake. That's pretty much open to anybody who's a Missouri Kayak Bass Nation member, and Bassmaster membership's required too. So this tournament is not for a payout, it's for qualifying for the Bassmaster Classic, the kayak version. But the winners are still going to be recognized on the big stage at the Bassmaster Classic. So if you want to go to the Bassmaster Classic in a kayak, this is one way you can do it without having to travel to some of these major national tournaments. So the top 10% of the field are going to go. I just checked. I think we're getting close to 20 signed up so far. So that would be the top 2. Last year they had a minimum of 5. 5 went no matter what. They changed that this year. So it's all going to be based off of how many people sign up. So it's 10%. So if we get 30 people signed up in the top 3, we'll try to get some prizes put together for those for the winners. But the money from all the entry fee and stuff, it all goes towards a pot that's going to sponsor those winners to go to the Classic. Depending on how many people sign up, it's going to get better. So the more the better. But you're talking free lodging, your entry fees paid, hopefully some money for expenses and food. So we'll try to figure it out based off of how many people sign up. But that's how MoBass Nation does their boat side of things, and we've adopted that for this tournament as well. So all entry fee money goes into our pot that'll be split evenly to give to the winners to go to. Where is it they're going? South Carolina next year? Lake Hartwell?
I don't remember.
Can't remember off the top of my head. My memory's horrible, but yeah, it'll be I think it's next March 2022.
Well, guys, still time to get signed up for that if you want to have a chance at that.
Yeah, just reach out to me if you want to get signed up. Just send me a message. It's pretty simple. It's just money. I mean, well, yeah, membership dues, but yeah, still money. But that came out wrong.
But yeah, it's definitely exciting, especially after watching the kayak classic earlier this year and seeing Richie up there. It's definitely something worth taking some time and getting signed up for.
Yeah, our very own Richie McMichael, he got on the big stage at the Bassmaster Classic, so pretty cool.
Lance Burris the year before, so hopefully we can keep that running going.
Yep, see if we can do it 3rd year in a row.
So cool. Well, let's watch the interview with Morgan and Chad, and then we'll pop back on here and wrap it up.
Sounds good. Let's talk to him.
Yeah. Well, so I mean, to start, I just want to real quick touch on the little bit of confusion that happened right there at the end, because I mean, I thought that I won there for a minute and everybody else did too. And I was driving home and I got a message from Josh that sorry, dude, you had a double submitted fish and you didn't win. And I was like, what? And so I was driving, but I kind of went back and looked, and sure enough, I remember it was probably around noon. I submitted a fish, and the phone signal was real sketchy up there, and it was taking a long time to submit. And I finally submitted, and then I went and I checked, and I noticed right away that it got submitted twice, and so I went back in to manage catch to delete it, and you have to go into the team side individually, and then you have to go into the regular trail side, so you got to go in and edit each one separately. And I did that on both, and I thought I checked them both after I was done, and it was right. And so I never even thought any more about it the rest of the day. And then just at the end of the day, when I was getting off the water, I was having trouble getting a signal, and finally I got it to where I could check, and it had me in first place. So I was like, sweet, and I didn't think any more about it. But now, I mean, I went back and you could see that the team side was right, but the individual side was wrong. But anyway, I feel bad that happened for Morgan, because, he should have been the one up there in front of everybody at the awards. But it was an honest mistake, and I don't even know how it happened, but I apologize, and congratulations to him. I mean, I don't want to win if I didn't earn it. So he won, and hats off to him, because he had a really good day, and he deserves it.
So Morgan, halfway, after the tournament leaving. What was it on your side of it? What was your side of did Josh call you? Did he text you? What did he tell you?
Well, funny enough, I don't know if I'm not sure what time anybody called, but I got home, unpacked my stuff, took about 30 minutes, and I went to sleep at probably 4:30. And I woke up at 6:30 the next morning, and I saw a missed call from Mr. Davison and message from Mr. Booth, and I was like, it's a nice surprise. So I was happy with second place, and I woke up and I didn't really expect to see that. So I don't mind at all. I know those things happen. My service was bad the whole time too, so I don't mind at all.
Well, man, it's cool to see both of you guys do so well in this event. Morgan, is this your first year or is this your second year?
This is the first year I've been a member. I did one event at I think it was Bull Shoals last September. And I just did that one to get a feel for it, because I had originally signed up to do the camo events last year, but I kind of wanted to do something with a little more people and maybe a little bit more competition. So I tried that event last September, and then this year I was committed to do all of them that I could.
So with that being said, I mean, both of you guys are considered rookies for this year. I think with you guys, I think it's going to be a neck and neck race with you all. Of course, it's going to depend on Palmy here in a couple weeks, but I mean, you guys are also making a run for AOY with some of these guys that have been doing it for a while. Chad, start off with you. I mean, how does that feel coming in as a rookie and competing for AOY?
I mean, it feels a little bit weird to me to be like considered a rookie, which I mean, I guess I definitely am, because this is the first time I've ever fished kayak tournaments. But I mean, I've been fishing tournaments for a long time, so in that way it feels a little bit weird. But I'm curious like about Morgan, like for somebody that's so young to be so successful, competing against guys that have been doing it for such a long time. Like, I'm curious what your background is. Like, how did you like get the knowledge and the skills that you have at such a young age? Because I know, I mean, at that age, I was still using like a bobber and worms, So, I mean, it's pretty impressive.
Oh, thank you. Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Okay. Well, I really started fishing the beginning of my 8th grade year, and for me, when I get into something, that's kind of all I'm about. So once I kind of got into fishing and realized it was something I liked, I had to work up. I would fish from the bank for the first year, and then my family got a small boat, and I started competing in some of the high school tournaments my freshman year. And then that was fun, but we also had 2 ascend kayaks, and I just kind of always enjoyed the challenge of fishing in a kayak a little bit more. And so I really fished in the kayak into my freshman year up until through my sophomore year, and then because I'm a senior this year. And at about the spring of 2020 is when I really decided that kayak fishing was something I really liked to do. And during that whole time, I play tennis too, but outside of that, you can't really, there's only so much research or whatever you can do about tennis. And with fishing, when if I was driving somewhere on a car trip or, whatever, even just in class, I'd just watch fishing videos. Or actually getting started, I watched probably like half of every video that Tactical Bassin has. So I learned a ton of stuff from them. And more recently, I've been learning a lot from just watching fishing reports and just stuff like that. And, I'd say about maybe really only about 6 months ago was I finally had confidence to really fish most of the things that I felt like I should be able to fish to compete in tournaments. And then from there, it was just a matter of experience. And I mean, each tournament I've been in, I've been able to look back and find like something big that stood out that's been able to help me for the next tournament. And it's just trying to learn from each tournament. And that's been the biggest thing, is just the little things you can pick up from each time you go fish a tournament.
Chad, you as well. I mean, how did it start for you? And then more specifically, how did it kind of start for kayak fishing for you as well?
Well, I mean, for me, it was, I fished bass boat tournaments. I started when I was around 20 or 21. I was in college, and I joined a bass club, and I fished in a few different clubs and circuits over the years, but mostly team tournaments, but just been fishing tournaments for a long time. And I guess back in those days, that was kind of like the internet was still barely even a thing, and so there was no tactical bass, and I was still trying to like read Bassmaster magazine and stuff. But I fished tournaments for a long time. I've told this story before, I think, maybe not on here, but like I fished in the main club that I fished in it for 10 years before I ever won a tournament. And it was just like slow. I was fishing against a lot of good fishermen. Marcus Sikora was in the club back then. And I mean, there was a lot of good fishermen, and just, I didn't have a lot of success, but I just kept grinding away at it. And eventually, like my partner and I, actually two different partners, but we won Angler of the Year like 6 times, I think. And so, it's just, you got to just stick with it, and just a lot of time on the water. But, I did that for so long, and I started to get to the point where I felt like I wanted to keep moving up. And that's kind of what happened, is I moved up and I fished the Solo Pro Series for a few years. And I had some success in the beginning and made a run at AOY in that the first year. But then I kind of got, I don't know, I started to struggle, and the expenses were really getting to me. And I was having, like, I hit some trees in my boat and did a bunch of damage to my boat. And like, I just got really kind of frustrated with all the expenses. And I just got burned out, I guess. And wasn't getting the enjoyment out of it for the amount of money I was putting in. And I started to see you guys out on the lake. Literally, it was MoYak at Palmy last year, and I saw you guys out there. I was practicing for a Solo Pro event, and you guys were having a tournament, and I was just kind of got infatuated with the whole kayak thing, and seeing some of these kayaks. And then I was like struggling in practice, and then I looked at your all's results, and I saw what Darian Beetle did, and I was like, holy cow, them guys are catching some serious fish out of those kayaks. And so it really got me interested. And, it was a combination of that at the same time where I was getting burnt out on the bass boat tournaments and tired of spending so much money on it, that it was like almost one of those just spur of the moment, just jump in head first things, where I put my bass boat up for sale, sold it, and bought a Hobie this last winter, and fished out of it for like 6 months. And then hooked up with Everhart's, and they got me in the Old Town Autopilot. And then that thing has been an absolute dream to fish out of. And I am loving fishing out of that thing so much that, I mean, it's just a joy. Honestly, I'm out there sometimes, I can't believe how much I enjoy fishing out of it. It's just so maneuverable, and I just feel like I feel like I can fish more effectively out of it than I can out of a bass boat, because a bass boat's so big, and you're able to just kind of get around trees and docks and stuff so much easier.
Morgan, you're fishing out of an Old Town as well, right?
Yeah, I have the it's a 106 pedal. So
it seems like really Old Town's really coming on the market strong lately, and make some decent kayaks. Which, I mean, I believe, Chad, you've got yours motorized, or it's got the spot lock and all that. And then Morgan, are you just pedaling on yours?
Yeah, and I got it because I got it maybe a little over a year ago now, and I got it, I think, there was a sale going on. I was like, this is really cheap for a pedal kayak, and it's been awesome. I mean, because I was looking at a bunch of them. I'm like, oh, these Hobies are so expensive, and in my opinion, that's outside of getting the autopilot, this kayak has everything that I could need.
I have to tell a quick story about this. Happened to Stockton on Saturday, and it just kind of reinforces to me like the level of quality and engineering in those kayaks. The tournament was over, and I was motoring back to the launch site, and I was totally just kind of out of it, tired, wasn't paying attention. I had it on 10, highest speed, cruising along like 4 miles per hour. And I knew that there were some trees on this one point that I was coming across, because I used to go across it in my bass boat, and I knew that there was trees there. And I just kind of spaced out, and I hit this like 18-inch tree dead solid going full speed with my motor. And it hit so hard that it popped the whole motor out of the mount, and it flew into the floor of the kayak. And I thought that I had completely destroyed it. And I was just like, oh my gosh. I got to looking at it. It broke one little piece of the housing that I don't think is a big deal. But the mount is made to break away. I don't know if it's made to break away that much. It's made to kick up. I don't know if it's made to like completely fly out of there. But everything, I've checked it all over, and it seemed like everything's still working. I don't see any problems with it. And I'm just amazed that where the mount is mounted into the kayak, there was no damage there or anything. The trolling motor, it's like not bent or anything. So, they're pretty dang high quality. And what's one of the things I was worried about is like, am I going to hit a tree or something and it's going to damage it? And you cannot hit a tree any harder than I did. And it seemed like it was okay. So I'm pretty amazed at how high the quality is on those.
That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah, the Old Town's definitely come along. Well, Chad, we talked to you on tournament day or after wrapping up, and kind of heard what was working for you. And Morgan, let's get into your pattern and how you caught some of your fish, man.
Well, first I'll have to say that last tournament and this tournament, Mr. Davis and I were pretty much doing the same thing, except we were throwing slightly different stuff. And it was those steep channel banks. And in the morning, well, for my pre-fishing, same thing as Mr. Davis, and I caught 2 13-inch fish over 2 days. And both of those were just on a steep channel bank with a finesse jig. And so I just thought, I'm just going to go fish, and it can't really get any worse than it is. And I'll just go hit the spots that I haven't hit that are similar to where I was catching fish. And I'd actually gone out fishing with my friend Chris Gilbert. We fish a lot. He's in MoYak. He hasn't fished the last couple of events, but he fished the first few. And we were down on Taneycomo, and I was throwing a buzzbait with a skirt, and he was throwing a skirtless buzzbait with like I think a Kitech or something on the back. And he was like out fishing me a bunch. And I was thinking, it's tough. I might try that. And in practice, I'd been throwing a buzzbait with the skirt, and I hadn't caught any fish on it. And I took the skirt off, and I caught like a 16 and a 13 and a 12 on that early, which getting those first few fish gives me a lot of confidence. And then I missed one on the buzzbait that kind of like whirled on it, and I didn't know what to throw up there. So I just threw a glide bait that I tied on up there, and I twitched it by it a bunch, and it hit it. So that was my biggest one. So that one's, I think, a lot more of a luck deal, because 9 out of 10 times that fish isn't going to hit it again. And then I went through until maybe 2.5 hours of no bites. And I went to the other side to this big, long, almost bluff. And I didn't really like the way it looked, but I thought I just might as well fish it. And I was like super close to packing up and just going somewhere else. But I was in a tournament last year, the first MoYak tournament that I fished at Bull Shoals, and I'd packed up and moved somewhere else. And the places I started catching them were the same thing as the places I'd caught them in the morning, except out deeper. So I just thought, I'll just back off a little bit. and just slow down because there's usually a little bit of lull in the morning. And I was pitching a finesse jig up into, 2 or 3 foot of water where Mr. Davison was throwing his square bill. And the bank that I found had trees that they weren't submerged, but they had kind of fallen over from the wind or whatever. And I got 4 bites and caught 3 of them. And it was a 17 1/4, 15 3/4, and then a 14 1/4. And that finished out my limit. And I think I had 6 bites throughout the day, or 7 bites, something like that. And it was just being at the right place at the right time, I guess.
I think you're muted.
Yeah, it seems like it comes like in flurries. Sometimes you get into a spot where there's, a couple fish, and you get to a point where you're just racking your brain, and then, you run somewhere different, and something looks a little different, and works out for you. Chad, you talked about how you were burning that crankbait on the bank. I mean, do you think it was just one of those things, like it hit something and kind of, got their attention, and that's when they bit?
Yeah, so I mean, I was using a stop and go retrieve, and I was cranking it really fast, stopping, cranking fast, stopping, and it didn't seem like I was trying to hit. There was timber, and there was a lot of like laydowns and stuff like that, and I was definitely fishing around that, but it just seemed like they were kind of on rock. It was big rock, and most of them were. Well, I mean, they were anywhere from the bank out to like 4 foot of water, but some of them were like literally right on the bank, and they hit almost right away when I threw it up there. But I don't really know that they were on anything other than just rock, because most of them, when I was throwing it next to wood or whatever, it wouldn't come right off of it. But I think that there was lots of those little bitty shad like right on the bank, and I even saw a couple times like up in the distance where like a fish would be like chasing them right on the bank. And so I just knew that I think that those fish were just feeding on those little shad right on the bank. And I mean, I spent practice trying to fish deep, and I just couldn't get anything going on that. And it was kind of like, I didn't even really figure out the square bill deal till like 3 o'clock on Friday. Then I finally kind of got onto that. And in the morning, I actually had a different square bill. And in the morning, I lost 3 fish in a row on Saturday morning. Like right off the bat, I started catching fish right away, and one of them would have definitely helped me. And like 3 fish in a row, they'd hit and then they'd come off. And finally, I'm like, it was pissing me off. So I completely switched. I put on a different crankbait, and I got a different rod, which, I mean, I have a crankbait rod that's like super light that I wasn't square bills. I usually like a little bit heavier rod because you're around wood and stuff. But I mean, these fish were not eating it very good, and I heard a lot of people talk about how they lost a lot of fish in the tournament, and I think the fish just weren't that aggressive, and I think that's one reason why burning it helped, because it triggered the bite, but they just weren't really eating it that good. And a lot of the fish I caught were just barely hooked on the back hook. So I think it was like really key for me, because after I made that change, I didn't lose another fish the rest of the day. And but they were like, I would see the fish, and it was just hooked on the back hook barely. And so having that light rod, it was real whippy, like like a kind of like an antenna or something, just super light rod. And I think that helped me not lose fish, and just making that adjustment was a big deal. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I just stuck with that square bill all day, and I went through long periods of time where I didn't get any bites, but then like at like noon, I got 3 of my biggest 5 in like 15 minutes on one 50-yard stretch of bank. And just, I would, catch one, get in the net, measure it, do the pictures, all that stuff, submit it. Within like a minute after it started to fish again, I caught another one. It happened like 3 in a row. And then like after that, I never caught another one that helped me the rest of the day. And so, I mean, it was just I don't know if it's a timing deal or you had to be in the right spot at the right time. But, when you're out there, it doesn't feel like you're in contention to win the tournament. It feels like you're struggling. You're trying to decide if you want to stay or go. You're getting frustrated, trying to think, I tried a different crankbait for a while in the afternoon because I thought they might go deeper when the sun got up, and then that was getting hung up a bunch, and I wasn't getting bit on it. So I went back to the square bill, and then that's when I caught the 3 in a row. And so, these decisions you make out there, it's just hard to know. In hindsight, you look like a genius, but at the time, you're just like, you don't even, you're just trying not to have a really bad finish in the tournament. I never even thought I had a hope of winning when I went to the tournament. I just was like, I want to catch 5 so I don't embarrass myself, Anyway,
Yep.
You never know how it's going to work out.
It's true. It's very true. Morgan, what you said you're a senior this year. What are you going to do after high school? Are you going to go off to college? Are you going to try and pursue any bass fishing, or are you going to go a different route?
I think college is going to be the plan, and depending on circumstances or whatever comes up, if I can find a way to store my kayak at college, which is my issue at the moment, I'd like to keep fishing, but especially if I end up being in a metropolitan area, it's going to be expensive for a storage unit. So that's at least my freshman year. When I'm going to be in a dorm, probably won't be in the picture, but I have no idea.
I think if you can fit it in the spot where the bike goes, they might make an exception. Tell them it's some sort of transportation.
Who knows?
Well, I'm sure that wherever you go to school, I'm sure you can find a decent club up there, and maybe one of those guys will help you out and set
Definitely.
you up, and maybe help you store. What are you looking to go to school for, man?
Thinking of majoring in biology and something with medicine, but at this point, that's just a guess. And it could be that, it could be some sort of engineering. It could be something technical. I won't really know until I kind of get through maybe a year or two of college and get a feel for what my classes are like. And because right now I'm just kind of looking at all these jobs from kind of outside perspective, and I don't really know what they all entail. So
cool, man. That's awesome. I know a lot of guys, especially myself, and I've talked to a couple guys. Chad, I talked to you early this season about the All-American, and guys are looking at now like, where am I at? Am I going to get a spot? Am I going to have to fish the shootout? You guys are looking at AOY race right now. Morgan, are you going to try and go to the All-American if you get to qualify, or is that something that you want to do this year?
Well, that's at Truman, right?
It is at Truman.
Yeah. So that I would go to that if I can. I'm not going to be able to fish Palm de Terre because I have a ACT to take, so I'm just going to have to chill out and see where I end up being at. I think I'm 4th right now, so I would hope that I'm still, top 10 or 12 that get to qualify.
Yeah, I believe it's top 12 that get a spot, and then there's one spot for the online AOY. There's one spot for the Sportsman of the Year, and then I believe there's one spot for the River AOY. So there ends up being about 15 spots. But yeah, that top 12, they automatically get a spot to the All-American.
And I think there's also roll downs too, because I know I already qualified through the All-American, so there'll probably be another spot there, and then maybe that's the same deal. And so, it's probably going to go down pretty far.
Yeah, there should definitely be some roll downs there. I think Lance, I think Mike Kiefer, Brian Hillman, I think maybe Troy Inke has fished some of those as well. Some of those spots, if those guys are in the top 12, then definitely those spots will roll down. Chad, are you looking forward to Truman and doing that?
Yeah, man. I'm excited. It'll be the biggest kayak tournament that I'll have ever fished. And, you never know how it's going to go. There's going to be a lot of people there, but I feel like I got as good a chance as anybody. It just should be fun. Everhart's is going to going to do it upright and you know, just fishing a big tournament like that. I mean, it's got to be fun. I mean, I'm sure I'll be a little bit stressed out about it, but you know, I'll try to enjoy it. I try to always tell myself when I'm out there that I need to take a minute and look around and enjoy it, because sometimes I get a little too intense and I forget that it's supposed to be fun sometimes. But yeah, I mean, I'm really looking forward to the All-American. Was one of my big goals coming into this year, not having any idea how I was going to do. Is just I want to make All-American. So.
Well, that's awesome, man. Well, guys, congratulations to both of you. It's really cool going to these events and watching you guys perform and cheering you guys on. Even, you know, even if I sucked, it was horrible, but it's always fun seeing guys in the club do well and guys get excited about it and have a good turnout at the meetups. Guys, what else? I mean, you guys have any other questions or anything else you guys want to ask each other maybe?
Well, I have a little bit more to add that I found was kind of interesting about Mr. Davison's day, is that all the stuff that he said about having that little window of 30 minutes or so of catching fish, that was true for me. And I actually went deep in between my morning bite and my late bite as well. And the only thing that I found was interesting was that the jig fish that I had, they had it gone. Like they were eating it. They weren't nipping at it. And the only one I missed was because it was my first bite in like 2 hours. And I like set the hook sideways on it and I just pulled it out of its mouth like immediately. And so I don't really know why they were eating the jig and they weren't, you know, the fish out on my buzzbait this morning. Not sure how I didn't lose any of those, because there would just be a little swirl and I wouldn't see my buzzbait anymore. I would think they were bluegill swiping at it or something. Same thing with the one that I hooked on my glide bait. He had one treble in the corner of his mouth, and if he had jumped, he would have come off. And why they would eat the jig, I have no idea, because especially since I saw those small shad up there too, and they were chasing right up on the bank, and it's fishing, I guess.
Yeah. And what's interesting is, you know, you heard about that tournament last weekend or the prior weekend. I don't remember which trail it was, but a lot of guys talked, like, I think it was 19, 20 pounds that won that tournament there out of a boat. And guys were talking about fishing out deep, fishing brush piles. And I mean, I did the same thing on Friday. You know, I looked for offshore structure. I looked for offshore brush piles and stuff that I could sit on points and you know, I felt like I was marking fish, but for, you know, to hear both of you guys, you know, fishing shallow and getting bites there, it's fishing. You know, it's crazy to think about. Like everyone approaches it different, and there's always something different going on in that part of the lake or wherever you're at.
Yeah, I mean, I came into this tournament fully expecting. I mean, I downloaded all the conservation brush piles onto my card and loaded them onto my graph, because I used to have on my bass boat, I had them all on there, but I had never done that on the kayak. And so I got them all downloaded to my unit. I even bought and installed a NEMA network and got this heading sensor for my Garmin unit so that it'll keep your boat pointed on the graph in the direction that it's actually pointed. It makes it easier to fish structure and brush piles because you can point right at them and cast to them and stuff. I mean, I spent a lot of time expecting to be like deep brush pile fishing and stuff. And I tried that on Thursday when I got there, and I was like, this sucks. It's not happening. I was catching some little bitty smallmouth, and that was it. And I think part of it has to do with the fact that they've been drawing the lake down and they've been running a lot of water, and they've gotten to where they were running less, and they're only running it for a little while in the afternoons. And then on the weekends, a lot of times they just completely shut it off and don't run any water. And so that all kind of affects that deep structure bite and everything. And so, I mean, it was just more out of desperation than anything. I stumbled onto the square bill deal. I never in my wildest dreams thought I'd be catching them in like 2 foot of water in the middle of August with, like, you know, water temps in the mid 80s and stuff. But you just never know. You can't rule anything out. You just got to keep an open mind.
Same here. I don't want to sound like I invented something new, because I was really stubborn the 2 days of pre-fishing, and all I did was fish deep. I threw a football head, a shaky head, Carolina. If you can name a deep technique, I did it. So, and again, like Mr. Davison said, my shallow thing was out of desperation, because every time it's tough for me, I go find a 45-degree rocky bank, because I fish Table Rock mostly, and at Table Rock, no matter if it's winter, summer, spawn, whenever, I can go to 45-degree bank and pitch a jig or a drop shot or something up there, and I can catch fish. So I just went to those banks and just decided that's what I'm going to do for the rest of the day, and worked out in my favor. Didn't lose really any fish or anything, so got really lucky on that part. And it was really desperate, but it worked.
Yeah, it definitely worked out for you guys both well, taking home a little bit of coin and some bragging rights. And but again, guys, congratulations. Thanks for taking your time to come on here. Really appreciate that. And I mean, I don't have anything else, man. You guys got anything else?
Jonathan, I mean, I just want to take a quick second and thank you and Josh and I mean Jay and Troy Inky. I mean, all of you guys put in a ton of work to, I mean, make a really top-notch tournament trail that is one of the best in the country from what I can see. I mean, I think MoYak is highly recognized all over the country. I mean, I hear about them talk about MoYak sometimes on, you know, KBN and stuff, and it's all because of the hard work you guys put in. So, and anybody I forgot, I mean, I don't know, there's probably other people that I don't behind the scenes, but Josh's wife, I know she puts in a lot of work. And so, I mean, thank you guys, and you do a great job.
Yeah, definitely. Josh puts in some hard work. I mean, I enjoy doing this and talking to you guys, but Josh, you know, he puts a lot of hard work in. Troy Hillman, Jeff Mellencamp, all those guys put in, you know, a lot of effort on the board and a lot of decision making, and they've really knocked this club out of the park. And it's really good to have, you know, guys like you guys in here as well and participating.
Yeah, I'd like to say thanks to you guys as well, and also like to thank Mr. Hillman, because I play tennis with him sometimes, and last summer I played tennis with him, and I'd never played with him before, and I was like, "Are you the Mr. Hillman that I saw in the KBF event on Table Rock?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I started talking to him, and he kind of got me in tune with the whole MoYak deal, and he's one of the people that kind of helped me decide to do it, and it's definitely been the right decision. So really, really thankful for that.
So is Brian better at tennis or fishing?
I'd say he's really good at both. I mean, he certainly wins at both. So
you can tell us the truth, man. It'll be all right.
No, he's great at both. I think last time we played, he beat me. So.
Well, that's awesome. Yeah, Brian, definitely a good guy, super nice guy, and he's always helping out new people and bringing stuff on. Well, but seriously, guys, again, thanks for coming on here. Thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule. And I know we probably won't see you at Palmy, Morgan, but I'm sure Chad will be there. And then soon after that, we'll have the state championship over on Table Rock. Should be a good time as well.
Will. Good luck to you guys, and thank you. Congrats, Mr. Davison.
Thanks. You too, man.
All right, have a good one, guys.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, Chad. Appreciate it. Thank you, Morgan.
Yep, have a good
problem. See ya.
Josh, Palm to Terre, are we going to be sweating, or are we going to look forward to some cooler weather? What do you think?
I don't know. It's hard to say. Palmy can be one or the other. It's getting in that time where the weather's going to start changing in September. So hopefully it's going to cool off a little bit from what it is now. But either way, I mean, I've been on Palmy and caught some fish in some pretty hot weather before, so it still fishes good.
Absolutely. Should be a good time.
Yeah, we got the river this weekend, river tournament this Saturday. If you want to go fish a river, western region, we're going to have that throw down too. So
wrapping up the regular season and then headed to the Missouri State Championship. Got Bass Nation coming up. Got a lot of stuff still going on to wrap up the year. Plenty of All-Americans still to come.
Yep. We got one more All-American on Truman Lake, October 2nd. October is going to be busy. MoYak wraps up on Pomme de Terre in September, but October is championship month. You've got the KBF National Championship. You've got the Missouri State Championships in November, but we've got the Bass Nation Championship. So lots of stuff going on in October. October's going to be hot.
Definitely a good time to be fishing. Well, Josh, again, thanks for being on here, and thanks for all you do. Guys, there's a chance there might be a kayak given away at Palmy. You might want to show up just to see what happens.
Yep. Thanks to Everhart's Outdoors, one of our best sponsors. But if you know what Everhart's is capable of, you might want to just show up anyway.
Yep, definitely. They do not disappoint at all.
We're going to be giving away a lot of other free stuff too. So.
Well, cool, Josh. We'll see you at Palmy. And thanks, guys, for tuning in. And thanks again to Chad and Morgan for being on here with us.
Yep. Thanks to the winners from Stockton. Congratulations. And we'll see you guys later.